financial services as a sector isn't being digitized. It is being re-architected. For decades, banks, insurers, asset managers, and risk institutions were built for stability. Structured processes, siloed system, periodic reporting cycles. That model worked in a predictable world. But today, risk is dynamic. Capital moves in real time. Customers expect immediacy. Regulators expect transparency. And yet, many institutions are still layering digital tools onto industrial-age operating models. A chatbot here, an AI copilot there, a digital front-end masking analog complexity underneath. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Automation is not autonomy. Efficiency is not intelligence. And digital channels without orchestration create digital fragmentation. We are entering the era of the frontier firm, organizations powered by intelligence on top, human agent collaboration, and embedded governance. This isn't about replacing people. It is about redesigning how financial institutions create trust at scale. And that is what today's conversation with Karl Grandl is really about. Not just insurance, but the intelligent experience layer that will redefine and define the next generation of risk and financial services. So Karl, let's step into this frontier and welcome to the show. Karl, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Well, I think as we are going to dive into what customer experience intelligent layers are today, let's start with some introduction. I would love for people to know who you are. I know you from, since the WeFox time. So my gosh, many years. So tell us, who is Karl and what brought you into insurance and what is the next phase for you?
Okay, so what brought me to insurance a long time ago. So if I introduce myself, I'm always mentioning I'm kind of insurance dinosaur because I'm in the industry for more than 30 years. I spent a lot of time, 20 years, the Swiss life insurance company, was heavily involved in distribution, part of the product board. So I also learned how to calculate and set up new insurance products. And I learned how long it takes. Then I left this legacy company and wanted to start in InsurTech. So I joined GetSafe, helped them to ramp up their business. I was then MD for WeFox for all countries. That was quite an exhausting experience. I also joined then and ramped up an aggregator for the Austrian market, set up my own company in the space of embedded insurance. And right now, and this is something I'd love to do, I joined Miss Moneypenny. Yeah, I'm quite happy.
Miss Moneypenny has an amazing team. Absolutely adore everybody there. Anna, Mark, and now you. So I cannot wait to actually see the potential we can build around the world. But let's go and talk about what is happening in finance, insurance, risk management right now, right? Everybody is talking about automation, but is automation the right solution for all? So looking at, European and UK insurers, banks, capital market firms, they believe that modernizing is the solution. And they are all digitizing journeys and added in their process AI copilots. But in your view, Karl, what are they dangerously underestimating as they go through this shift and this transformation? Is the real risk not technology failure, but strategic complacency?
Yeah, that's quite. I remember a couple of years ago, a board member from an insurance company was on stage and educating the audience that they think they're automating, but it's kind of industrialization, just improving processes. And right now we're talking about automation, but we need to talk about transformation. So it's always kind of a silo thinking, a chatbot here. It's this strategic complacency. It's the chatbot, AI copilots, but the architecture underneath, it's still analog. So only 7% of the insurers successfully scaled AI across their organizations, but not because technology doesn't work. So the other 93%, it's because they're digitizing processes instead of this re-architecting of their operation models. And that's the thing. So it's always kind of silo thinking, and then you need to bring all these together. And that's a huge problem because they all think, oh, we are quite good. We reduced our operating cost by whatever XYZ%, but the complete framework they didn't touch that.
Well, I remember reading recently in one of your posts, actually, Karl, that we are in Europe, regulation is intensive. So whether we look at insurers, MGAs, financial services institution, we see that we are operating in a highly regulated market, right? And regulation actually is forcing insurers, corporations to act. Often regulation is what drives the change in behavior. What do you see are the guardrails, right? What is the type of compliance company needs to think about when they start looking at the box, the operating model, and the shift they are going through right now? And are UK and European institutions really ready to become what I call frontier organizations?
A lot of questions. So let me start with this regulation topic. So is it a burden or is it something else? And I actually think that European regulation is our unfair advantage. And I would go further. It's not just about discipline, it's about infrastructure. And there are 3 regulatory waves that are hitting the financial services at the same time. So it's the EU AI Act. It takes effect high-risk AI systems, including credit scoring and insurance. And it demands embedded governance, document decision pathways, real-time auditability. These are architecture requirements, and for any serious agentic AI model. And then FIDA, this financial data access thing. So they must enable data exchange. They must, but it's an opportunity. And here's what I find even more exciting, and this is what I'm also doing with Bitkom. It's ID Wallet. By end of 2026, every EU member state must provide this digital identity wallet to its citizens. And by end of 2027, regulated sectors, banks, insurers, telecommunication, they're legally required to accept it. So they need to set the infrastructure to do that. And we're talking about 450 million citizens, Europeans, with a verified digital identity in their pockets. And what does that mean for insurance? So today, the onboarding KYC process, there's a lot of friction. It's also the cross-border expansion. It's a pain. And with ID Wallet, it's all you're just accepting, yes, please, I'm identified, and that's it. So this cryptographically signed by a government is in seconds, and KYC becomes instant. So this onboarding is frictionless, and so on. And this is an opportunity, a real huge opportunity to really reduce or increase conversion rate. We have no friction. People are not lost because they have to leave the application process to start a video identification process. And that's all. And you have reliable data about address and so on. And this is the next step. And I think that's a huge thing.
You won't believe, but last night I received an email actually from the UK government to ask me to check my detail as part of my e-visa. I am French, living in the UK. I've been living here for 30 years. I've done my Erasmus, and I literally, build businesses, work there, created a lot of value. And as I was going through this e-visa, to make sure that all the data was right, and we have a deadline to do that by the 25th of February. So a week from now, technically, right, as we are recording this discussion, I realized, I wish I had a digital card on my phone, because when I travel now, I will have to demonstrate that I can come back into the UK. So, because of Brexit and new regulations and traveling and a lot of countries becoming a little bit more nationalistic, solutions like yours actually are very important and can actually enable people like me to have, in my wallet, my digital phone wallet, the proof that I can re-enter the country I've lived in for forever, right? I've lived in the UK longer than I've lived in France. So tell me, what are some of the use cases and examples that have transformed the way financial institutions, some of your amazing customers, which are on your website, and insurers realize the value of wallet technology?
We have to separate two things. So Wallet Studio, Miss Moneypenny is providing, and what Oidi Wallet is doing. Wallet Studio is just a communication layer, connecting all the dots from existing ecosystems. Oidi Wallet is just a tab. I need to identify myself. And it's just a back and forth, like a short API call, and you're identified. And this is a seamless step. You don't realize that there's something happening in the background. And this is quite fancy thing. So we are providing a communication layer and integrating that solution, Oidi Wallet, into our communication layer. So we are going to become one of these tech companies that is supporting that. And so you can use Wallet Studio as an orchestrator for the complete customer interaction and so on. But if you need identification for new products or even for claims payouts, are we allowed to pay out to this person? Is this the right person? If you want to change your personal data and you want to be sure that the right person is now trying to change the data, just with one click, yes, it's identified, and you can move forward. So and there are many, many use cases for application of insurance products, for also claims payouts, for servicing, and so on. And this is just the beginning, all these identification. The next step is then validated insurance policies in the wallet. So if you need to prove that you're covered for whatever reason, if you need to prove, hey, I have this policy, you can prove that. Think about motor insurance. Think about international coverage. If you're leaving your country with your car, is the coverage also valid for other countries? You just can show that. You don't need kind of a green card, whatever. So you have it in your wallet, all proven, and you don't need a lot of paperwork. And that's the thing.
That is a perfect example and a segue, actually, Karl. The difference between having, I would say, a passport and having a fully functional process journey for the customer to know that one is safe, whatever is happening. They can talk to somebody if there is a need of service. They can actually raise a claim and so on and so forth. So I would like to spend some time rebuilding the operating model with you, because when we think about operating model, there are a number of capabilities every organization needs to think about. We're working with FreeFox, right? Intelligence distribution. So how does financial services and intermediaries need to redefine the way they do distribution, right? When you think about a world where AI Copilot or AI Cloud or AI Chat GPT, ecosystem orchestration agents, and predictive cross-sell engines are becoming the norm. When you think about the broker, the wealth advisor, the relationship manager, how do they start thinking about, becoming risk advisors and driving this intelligence through the interaction with the customer? And how does what we call the customer experience fabric that Miss Moneypenny is protect distribution relationship and not replace them?
Yeah, so first of all, to all brokers out there, you will not disappear, but you have to evolve. So from a transaction intermediary into a strategic risk advisor, augmented by intelligence that handles the routine, so we can focus on relationships, empathy, and judgment. And Miss Moneypenny is supporting exactly that. So you can interact whenever the customer needs you. In my opinion, insurance becomes more and more invisible. It's not something you need to deal with. It's just there. It's in the wallet. If you need it, it's there. It's always there when I need it, but it doesn't feel like a dental root treatment if I do an insurance application or file for a claim. That's the thing. So if you ask people out there, what do you think about insurance? Yeah, I need it, but it's kind of I don't like it, because people associate insurance always with painful fill out documents and thing and so on. And if it's there, hey, you're covered. Don't worry about that and don't need to do anything. If something happens, just click on that button and we will take care. That's a new thing.
I would like to talk about the way products are being designed now. And, I've been working in technology myself for a very long time, and also have helped insurers build products, using product design workbench and, how you build your features, function of each of the product. Things are moving, right? We are now moving from the traditional product factory to which runs on approval cycles and committee structure. Everything needs to be approved by a board. Today, we need to move much faster. We are in the world of velocity, speed of change, where dynamic pricing are there, simulation-based design is there, real-time portfolio management need to be optimized, right? So when you look at the work you are doing with Miss Moneypenny and the Wallet Studio and helping insurers, financial services institution to design the right products, how do you help them become more continuous rather than periodic? And I know I'm being involved with some of the work that Miss Moneypenny has done with Ergo, for example, with our doctors and around the travel insurance offering. What were the things which needed to be done to actually create that continuous product development cycle?
Well, that's a hard one. Because we are not doing their work regarding real-time underwriting and so on. That's what they have to do. So what we are supporting is the interaction with the customer. Just imagine flying somewhere and something happens. You need to see a doctor, and then you get on the wallet, and then you have kind of a map. Oh, find the next doctor and go there. And then all the processes behind, even payment, can be done by us. So we are putting money on the card and you can instantly pay if you're abroad. And these are things that will change. So, and all these processes, the customer experience, that changes. Still, the insurers have to change their systems, their architecture, their way of thinking. This is something that we cannot support. We can just give them some highlights. Hey, if you would do this and that, that would be a huge thing, but it's still in their decision power. So, but all that stuff around, there's a new product will be launched in January 1st, 27. It's a savings product, so if you spend, say, 1,000 euros, you get 300 by the state. That's a huge thing. We will support that also, because if you found end of the year and there's still room left for governmental money that you can get, you can set up push notifications. Hey, you can still get more money out of that. Do that. So we can push sales more or less. We can support that. And customers also expecting real-time information, and we can provide that. And this real-time information is something where insurers also need to build on their systems. Is it possible to send out real-time information, or is it some legacy system where they once a year get updates on that?
More often means better relationship, right? It means also retention and showing the customer we care, so therefore build that trust. Now, I was with Anna on stage just a few weeks ago, and one thing that come to mind is a lot of the conversation was how long it goes, right, to go through the procurement process of a tier one insurer across the globe. And I am thinking, when we look at the opportunity, for example, for products, but also servicing the customer, managing better claims, right, driving better experience, a lot of this happen now with the MGAs. What can we say to the MGAs and how can we help them understand the power of the customer experience fabric and how intelligence layers will enable them to drive those unique customer experiences?
So one thing that sets MGAs apart from the big insurers, they don't have this legacy system. They are API first. Most of them are API first. So this real-time data exchange, this how they set up the infrastructure. They started from greenfields and set it up in a modern way. So insurers built their complete architecture based on offline sales 100 years ago. And MGAs that are now operating, they are supporting online services, online businesses, and they can play around, do it way faster. And if they then include this activation layer through this communication skills in all these ecosystems, if they bring all the parties together, that's a huge thing. And this is where we can support and help them what they were not thinking about, because MGAs usually don't run apps. They don't run all these ecosystem parts, and we can support that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see that, right? It's a win-win. They should be focusing on what they are best at doing. And then you enable them to accelerate their access to the ecosystem by providing them the layer they need. So we talk about agentic distribution, right? We are talking about agentic customer experience. And the question that comes to mind now, Karl, is if 60 to 80% of low to mid complexity processes become autonomous, right, within the next 3 to 5 years from now, what does it do to the cost ratio, talent structure, and more importantly, the customer trust? How do we still drive empathy when we are in the agentic model?
That's a good one. So first of all, and there comes my insurance experience in, the decision makers, the board members are incentivized by certain KPIs. And mostly one KPI is cost reduction. But this is short-term thinking, because humans are humans and they still want to be treated like humans and they want to talk to other humans. And that part of empathy. So if you reduce these operational efforts, standardized procedures, if they become, due to agentic AI, automated, you're setting time free that they can spend to build up trust and empathy. So, and there's a huge risk, is one of the biggest risks, that insurers tend to do then huge layoffs because, AI is doing the job. So we don't need the people, they are costly, but they are the driver for trust and empathy. So that's a thing. And they can decide whether to, in a short-term thinking, reduce cost, or in a long-term thinking, spend more time on building trust and empathy to their customers.
And this is important to remember, right? Long term, it's about the customer trust, and that customer you need trust, you need to win it. But it is so easy to destroy it very fast, right? The minute that the customer feel they have not been taken care of fairly, they're actually pushing back. And we have seen, the reputation of insurance going through this, it's up and down over the past few years, I would say, if you don't mind me saying, particularly in the US, with a lot of different states deciding not to cover insurance, and still, the user, the consumer, not understanding why. So there is a lot of education to be done. Let's try to redesign what the model will look like for financial services, for insurers, for MGAs. I would like to start with what we are strong at in Europe, which is regulation, compliance. So if we start implementing some compliance agents, right, and financial AI become embedded in everything we do, right, in every workflow across, the insurance value chain, capital market, banking, how do we make sure we have the right governance, right? And we can actually ensure that we are looking at risk management as real-time interventions, right? To let the customer know, to educate the customer, to show we are a holding hand, right? I guess everybody's talking about right now. And how could the next competitive advantage, when we think about us in Europe, be, justified through the distribution channels or through customer experiences?
So if I think like a CRO is thinking, governance is about to become the most strategic capability. So when compliance agents and financial AI are embedded in every workflow, governance shifts from retrospective reporting to real-time intervention. That's not just risk management, it's competitive advantage. It's building trust. And this is not a European story. In the US, I think, 23, 25 states have already adopted this NAIC AI model bulletin. So globally, the direction is clear. So it's transparency, auditability, and human oversight. They're becoming non-negotiable. And it has to be built this into their architecture. It's not just an overlay. It's a native capability. And those who are doing that, they will outperform. They will gain trust. And trust is the most important thing if you're talking to your customers. They want to trust in that. They want to trust in their data. They want to trust in, they don't want to be scared that an AI is taking decisions no one is looking after. There are too many movies out there. What happens if AI is taking over? And that's also what Wallet Studio is doing. Every customer interaction is documented. It's auditable. It's real time, and it's compliance by design and not by retrofit. So that's the thing. And that's important, and that's a competitive advantage if you provide that.
Yeah, no, I hear compliance by design. A lot of conversation I'm having are around governance by design. But when you start combining the two, we are moving to trust by design, which means you have to build that transparency, this explainability, all the criteria which are in the EU Act, the EU AI Act, to help businesses understand how they can actually start treating the customer fairly still in an AI world. So let's talk about intelligent fabrics, right? Intelligence, customer experience layers. Most financial institutions think transformation is about core system replacement, and a lot of them are going through their replacement of their core system so that they can connect them to the AI and actually make sure that they have the right data foundation. But I think the real shift is that intelligence fabric, which is a big way, I would say, that Miss Moneypenny is reshaping the market in the way they treat that customer fairly, whether we are using agent orchestrator, right? Or data mesh, model governance, which you have just mentioned, but also, as to how we start upskilling and reskilling humans as we are working into a human in agent world. So for you, Karl, if you were advising a mid-size UK company or challenger, we talk about the MGAs, where should they, invest their time, effort in the 6 to, I would say, 18 months, but probably you said to me, they need to move super fast. We are in full velocity mode. Do you think it's technology? Do you think it's about redesigning their operating model? Do you think it's about the leadership capability? And I know you have mentioned some of the things already, but where should they prioritize their efforts?
So if I'm advising a mid-sized UK insurer or a challenger bank, my answer is start with leadership. Not because technology doesn't matter. It's because technology without that leadership clarity, it creates expensive pilot graveyards. So I think I saw some data, 70% of scaling challenges with AI are organizational, not technical. But the thing is, you have to quick proof value. So start with low-hanging fruits. Don't start with an 18-month core system replacement if you already have our API first, okay, but if it's a mid-sized insurer with a legacy system, so you still have to do that. But that's not the core thing you should start with. So activate where you already have. And by the way, we have one client, it's a very big one. They are still uploading data via CSV file. So they don't have an API yet, but they wanted to prove numbers. And the results are intense. So 80% of the customers where we send our push notifications are clicking on it. There's a huge retention rate. Even in that 6 months where they are live, we can show numbers, intense numbers. And now they're building on an API infrastructure. We don't know how long that takes, maybe a couple of months, a couple of years, don't know. But they first wanted to see, does it work or not? If they would start with, okay, we need to do this IT whatever thing, then we could start in 5 years from now. And so they wanted to start first, show the first numbers, and now they have the proof it's working. And now we need to work on our core system.
You know, one thing that comes up often as well, Karl, is we are moving from SEO to GEO, from search engine optimization to generative search engine optimization. I would like to ask you now the futuristic question, right? Let's look ahead in 3 to 5 years. Do you think customers will ever buy insurance from, a Google engine or apply to a loan through that Google engine? Or will they look at other options, right? What you call these invisible embedded services now probably available through most generative AI platforms. Are the underwriting going to become far more real time and behavioral based, right? Hyper personalization, super segmented. And will claims and disputes feel like service recovery moments rather than bureaucratic events? What is your view on all of these things?
Yes to everything. So you raised a couple of things. So first of all, and many of also people watching this realized that there were 2 companies releasing that they have a ChatGPT function. So Insurify and another company from Spain, where you can then compare products, whatever. So regulation still does not allow to let ChatGPT be an intermediary. But there will happen something. So if you're talking about in 5 years from now, something will happen. With my last company, I was focusing on embedded insurance, and I think there's the future. So embedded is just woven into mobility experiences, health journeys, life moments, because that's the activation layer. So if something happens and then something pops up, hey, that's a good thing for you. So, oh yeah, I take it. That's the moment where people are open to that, and not 20 years in advance. Hey, you will need that sooner or later. Yeah, thank you. Let's talk later. So this is something embedded insurance becomes more relevant, and also claims. You mentioned it. It's better to feel like a recovery moment than filling out forms and whatever. So this is something that is, thanks Wallet Studio, changing. That's changing. Do you have an issue? Click on that. Hey, I have a problem. Oh, no worries. You take care. That's it. So just imagine if you have kind of a flight delay insurance, what's happening now? You need to apply for first a confirmation from the airline that the flight was delayed. Then you're filling out a form, sending it, and mostly printing it and whatever, and bringing it personally to the insurer. That's the worst case. And it takes ages until they proceed everything. What could be the better way? Hey, there's a flight delay. We just click on that, enter the flight number, and the system checks, okay, yes, here's your money. And that's it. Real time.
It should be it. Absolutely. It should be it. Those moments you are describing should be so simple moment, because we know the flight was delayed. We know we have to collect the luggage. All these are written on the systems within the airports. And still today, claiming for those flight delays are still so difficult. And that's why intelligence layers becomes critical to actually augment and enable those interaction between the customer and the provider, creating that friction-free engagement. So I'm going to ask you some instinctive questions, and I would like very quick answers from you. So for you, Karl, what could be one capability every financial institution must design immediately?
Customer activation. So stop building more channels, start activating the ones you already have with Wallet Studio.
One culture barrier slowing frontier transformation within large corporations.
The illusion that digitization is already transformation. So that kind of strategic complacency.
Yeah. And today we are going through that behavioral transformation. I remember sharing a post and I said, digital transformation is dead. And by the way, digital transformation was created by Capgemini in 2011. So it's been going on for quite a while. But what I was trying to say is, because of the speed of change, right, that velocity, you need to start looking at that transformation in very different ways. You cannot think about digital the way we have been used to thinking about it. We are moving to this agentic world where expectations will be slightly or highly different, actually. So what would be one reason to be optimistic about the future of financial services?
European regulation. It's forcing exactly the discipline that will define the next generation of intelligent institution. And that's not a disadvantage. That's I mentioned it before, unfair advantage.
So let's use that unfair advantage to finish our discussion, Karl, by you telling us if anyone listening to the discussion want to reach out to you, what should they do?
Connect via LinkedIn, send me an email, visit me, whatever. So happy to talk to everyone.
And when are we going to see you next in London?
I think I will attend the ITI. So yeah, and I think we will have a booth there. So come by and grab a coffee. I'm happy to talk.
Perfect. So yes, ITI Europe, which will be taking place mid of March, between the 18th and 19th of March. But the whole week will be called InsurTech Week. So a lot of us will be participating to events during that week, but will be present at the conference. So make sure if you want to meet with Karl to DM him on LinkedIn, email him at Miss Moneypenny, and then meet with him at InsurTech Inside Europe 2026. Karl, thank you so much for joining me today. Such a rich conversation as we are going through that frontier transformation, enabling big corporate to move faster with intelligence layers and enabling younger organizations like MGAs to achieve much more by, having the capabilities to interact with their customers in a most trustworthy way. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
What today's conversation makes clear is this. This isn't just an insurance or risk management story. It is a financial architecture story. For decades, advantage in financial services came from scale, capital strength, and distribution reach. But the next frontier belongs to intelligence. Intelligence embedded into workflows, intelligence orchestrating ecosystems, intelligence enabling humans to focus on judgment, empathy, and strategic decision-making. The frontier firm is not defined by how much AI it deploys. It is defined by how intelligently it integrates risk, compliance, capital, and customer experience. For leaders across banking, insurance, and capital markets, the emotion is real. Fear of losing relevance, trust in governance and systems, ambition to lead structural redesign rather than incremental improvement. The institutions that win will not simply digitize, they will re-architect. Because in 3 to 5 years, protection will be embedded, risk will be dynamic, governance will be real-time, and customer loyalty will be earned through seamless, intelligent experience. So the real question for every CRO, CEO, COO, and transformation executive listening to this, are you optimizing yesterday's operating model? Or are you building tomorrow's intelligence layer? The frontier isn't theoretical, it is forming right now. And to our listeners, transformation isn't a future ambition, it is present tense decision. The journey to becoming a frontier firm doesn't start with technology, it starts with leadership. Make sure to subscribe, follow, download, and give us a 5-star rating. Until next time, keep scouting for growth.